Hey guys, I found quite a few differences between the original game and Reunion, and I want to talk about them. I'm not discussing aesthetic changes, these are changes that affected the way that I play the game. There's still more for me to find, but this list is already pretty big. I like some of the changes, and I dislike others. DMW events like limits and summons are optional, and not only that, but you can choose to delay them until an opportune time. I touched on this in my first video. This is a big difference that both makes it possible to AFK farm levels, and it's a quality of life improvement that I really like. It makes the battles more engaging, and I can choose to interrupt the flow of battle, or not, but it's under my control. Now I don't need to worry about a level 5 Octaslash hitting a low level enemy with 5 HP left. More control is better for me in this regard. I also find myself saving limits and using them reactively when enemies are attacking me. I can't understate how big this change is. It completely changes the game for me. Some enemy special abilities have a build-up that you can cancel if you do enough damage. I don't care too much about this functionality, but since I like maxing my stats early in the story, any benefit against the Vajradharas is helpful. This is helpful for me because it gives me a countdown to prepare for a heavy attack instead of just being surprised by it. While they made auto attacks feel more impactful, my attacks actually feel weaker, because enemies don't stagger as much from them. I noticed this early on. I was used to enemies having to take a second after I brought the hammer down on them, but in Reunion, it feels like I'm the only one getting staggered in fights. Your auto attacks can still cancel some spell casts, but it feels less reliable, and I'm less interested in diving in to stop a spell cast. I tend to just try to dodge more things now. I'm not a fan of this. There's quality of life improvements in terms of the information displayed on the maps and in missions. I really like not having to guess which NPCs to talk to claim new missions and rewards. The map is still kind of weak, but it's definitely better. In missions, there's also chest counters that show you how many remaining chests there are. It's nice to not have to explore every inch of a mission map where the enemies can all one-shot me. If you're in the middle of attacking an enemy and cast a spell, Zac dashes backwards a bit to put some distance between him and the enemy automatically. I really like this addition. There's more animations and alerts on the battle heads-up display to give you info on your stats. I really like seeing a timer left on Barrier, for example. My playstyle makes Barrier absolutely essential for early game, and Barrier being up is the difference between me completing and failing a mission, so knowing how much time is left on it makes the battles easier. If you die in a mission, it gives you the option to replay the fight that you died in, and you can also go into your menu and respec your gear, then re-engage in the fight. I like this addition, but I think I know why they did it, and I really dislike that. Another change, which is a huge drawback, is that you can no longer claim loot from missions unless you finish them. This destroys an early game farm for me. The earliest point that you can get Magic Pot is Chapter 2. Unfortunately, it's in the same mission as Tonberry, and you can't add Magic Pot to your DMW without also collecting Tonberry. This is bad because a great early game farm is to add Magic Pot to your DMW and let it give you endgame loot. Any additional summons in your DMW pollutes it by diversifying the pool of potential summons that you get. The next mission that you can collect Magic Pot in, without any additional summons, is way later in the game. I'm extremely dissatisfied with this decision to change the ability to collect loot without beating the mission. You can run. Most or all people already know this, but it's a very welcome addition for me, and so it's in the list. They changed up several enemy damage weaknesses. It would take a long time for me to research the full extent of the list, but one big one I'm dissatisfied with is that Vajradharas are immune to gravity now, which nearly completely destroyed my early game mission progression. Getting gravity was always a big achievement, because I could finally start taking out enemies that have over 50,000 HP when I'm like level 10 or 15. It was always so rewarding to see that 10,000 damage number tick off, and it was the first real feeling of how much damage that you could do in the endgame. Simply by balancing that enemy, they completely took that away. They didn't even uniformly apply it to stop people from breaking the mission progression, because I could use gravity on the 5 Saints of Wutai to get the Hell Magic materia and status attack and defense from the secret shop around level 15 to 20 anyway. All it did was make the Vajradhara fights more dangerous and waste much more time, because I had to chip away at their HP 100 damage at a time like a damn mosquito. Zac's walking is a bit different now. You lightly press on the joystick, and he takes a full step instead of moving only as long as you're pressing a direction. It's weird because the controls feel slightly less responsive as a result when walking, but I haven't noticed it when running around dodging attacks that one-shot me, so maybe it's just an aesthetic thing for when you're casually walking around. I don't exactly know why or how, but leveling up in Reunion feels a bit different. In crisiscore, there was an invisible stat that guided when you'd level up. As the stat grew, it would be more and more likely that you'd level up, to the point that you could curse your DMW for a while, and after removing the curse, your levels would slingshot, often gaining multiple level ups in the same fight. Whatever mechanism they implemented in this game, it doesn't feel the same. I shouldn't be fighting through an entire endgame arm of Wu Tai missions to get the secret shop around level 15 to 20 and only gain a few levels during that entire mission progression. Maybe someone smarter and more knowledgeable than me can figure out how it works. I'm sure there's lots more differences, but I haven't done several things in the game yet, and I'm taking time away from playing to make these videos. I'll discover more in time, but for now, this is the list of changes I found that significantly impact my gameplay, for good or bad, or very bad. I didn't mention aesthetic changes because they're obvious, and I'm sure every gaming website on the planet already mentioned them a while ago. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.